I always tell people, first and foremost, I see myself as a New Yorker before I'm American, because New York is its own country, it's
Yeah.
its own beast, and I say that with lots of love. Um, it's a great question. I think every American probably struggles with that question and what it means, because the amount of people who settled here, post Columbian settlers, um, there was um, originally it was the you had the Dutch and then the British and the French and the Spanish, in whatever order they showed up here. Those are the Europeans who arrived here. Um, and then the wars that they had, the languages and cultures they established, gave way to what it was, what America was, say in the 1800s, and then you had an influx of the Chinese, and then you had the influx of the Irish, um, the Scottish, um, and there would all those cultures here is what makes America great. This idea that America sucks because it's America. The only time America sucks outside of the shitty government, the only time America sucks is when you're in denial of all the cultures here. When people say, well, I want to celebrate America Day. When are we? You've got Black History Month. You have the Irish Pride Parade. You have the Puerto Rican Parade. Where's the American? So that's the thing. You are American. You get to celebrate Puerto Ricans. You get to celebrate Black culture. That's what it means to be American. For me, I love the multitude of cultures here. It makes me who I am, a mix of multiple cultures, from Iberian region, from Africa, from indigenous people from the island. That's what it means to be American, to embrace that culture. I don't go for this fraudulent idea of waving a flag around and like you said, being alpha about it. I'm like, I have no
Yeah.
say in that. I mean, I vote, but like
Yeah.
it's about the cultures here for me to bring it back
But
down. It's
yeah,
about the
but
different that can
like
enjoy.
it or not, it's a fact. It's how you are seen. Like if you go overseas as an American, you are seen as part of those countries. You might not um, recognize yourself, in that identity, in that way of thinking. But that's something that come along with that. Like I was born in Portugal. That comes with some set of ideas that people have about the country. Like we, for instance, just in short, if I tell Inil that I'm Portuguese, everyone likes it because they think about the sunshine, they think about the good food. All their memories are positive. So it's um it's an advantage actually. It took me time to understand. I don't necessarily use it because I'm not really like the hedonistic type, but it's a fact. It's a fact. It's something that, like it or not, you carry with you. So even though you are not that kind of American, you always be seen as part of the country number one, or the country that is on the top of the pyramid. And it's not about it doing good or bad things. It's just they are the top of the pyramid. Some people see America as a savior. Some people see America as a predator. No, and I'm not saying what is correct here. It's just a fact that you guys are at the top.
Yeah, I understand that, and a good amount of Americans don't really feel that way. I think we're just trying to make do. Uh, there's a sense of everything that's wrong that can be right. So really, it's a struggle to make that thing right. Whether it's civil rights, women's rights, all that, it's still a struggle, and it's still a ridiculous struggle. So sometimes I stand back and go like, "This is so stupid," but I never get the urge of going like, "Oh well, I'm done. I'm leaving the country." No, I was born here. With respect to the indigenous people from here, this is where I was born. I love New York. I love the people there, and my mom had a way of getting along with other people just by sharing food with them. She may not have spoken their
Mm.
language, but she always was like, "Oh, that's similar to the food we have. Look at this." So I learned that from her, and that to me is what it is to be a New Yorker. Like you have to live with every single culture of the world, and they're all your neighbors. And the United States is like that for the most part. Um, but I see myself as like a New Yorker anywhere I go, and it's different. The way they do things in New York compared to the way they do things in Georgia, completely different. So
How would you distinct New York from Georgia and America in general? The only thing I know is that New Yorkers tend to be very much outspoken, so they don't hold themselves. They will
it's
share
yeah,
their opinion. Whatever they think, they have no constraint, to tell people.
that's that's one way of looking at it. I see being a New Yorker as like, oh, I don't understand what this guy is. I don't speak that Arab guy's language. I don't speak the Russian guy's language, but he's my neighbor. I go to his store and I pick up food. And we say hello to each other. You know, that's how I approach everything. I mean, yeah, New York is fast paced, and there are people of their opinion. But there are, there's I think there's a myth about every single person. This
Yeah.
idea of Southern hospitality and that people are really nice in the South. Yeah, I can vouch for that. They do things differently here culturally. The food is different. I guess it's a slower pace, is what they say to New York. I mean, New York is this big, and you pack 10 million people in there, so you got to move fast. You can't just stand there. You have to move. In the South, it's more sprawled. People are a little more laid back. There's more country,
Hmm.
more nature.
Space, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, but it's all different. And also too, you have this thing where, say for instance, Florida, which is a mutant of its own in the United States, um, a lot of people there are transplants from New York and New Jersey
Hmm.
and from other places. So if you go there and you say like, "Hey, this guy, I don't like this guy from Florida," but you're probably talking about a guy from New York who's obnoxious. So you have that weird thing that happens that you can only experience if you lived in New York and then you live in Florida, which I've lived in Florida, so I understand that. Um, but the greatest thing that you could get out of the United States is all the culture,
Yeah,
the culture.
yeah, and that's a great thing. That's a
Yeah.
great thing.